Many years ago, this world was once beautiful and peaceful. It was all until one day, dungeons and secret realms appeared in abundance along with monsters. The world teetered on the brink of destruction, but the humans also gained extraordinary powers. They acquired the strength to confront the monsters with ease. The appearance of the job changers allowed some human cities to survive. At the central park before the forest sanctuary, a professor was orienting the students about the threat of monsters. He said that it was because not all job changers have the ability to face monsters. From behind, someone stepped forward to listen to the professor's discussion. It was a white-haired boy named Hero, seriously looking ahead of him. He squinted his eyes with seriousness and remained speechless. Clenching his fists, he remembered a memory from his childhood. Back then, they told him that his resistance is a waste of his sister's talent. These men took away his sister, saying they're the one who protects the world and not him. Suddenly, everyone turned to look at him when someone recognized him as the genius Hero. He wore a polite smile and greeted everyone, saying he doesn't seem too late. From behind the crowd, someone suddenly excused herself and asked to make way. It was a red-haired flame mage named Eula, angrily asking why Hero arrived so late. She even taunted him that he might have gotten an awful profession and was too scared to show up. Hero only told him that there's no such thing as a terrible profession, there are only terrible people. Hearing him say these words, Eula can't help but tease him that he doesn't have any friends to team up with. But unbothered as he is, Hero was okay with it since he's not planning to team up with anyone anyway. It's not a big deal for him because having a team means splitting the experience gained. Eula looked at him, thinking he's really stubborn, and decided she won't save him if something goes wrong. But if he's willing to humble himself, she said she's willing to let him in his team. Meanwhile, the other students were gossiping that he might not be as strong as themselves. The professor then checked if everyone was ready as the secret realm had been activated. The time limit for them is 3 days, where they must reach a minimum of level 3 to be qualified as Monster Hunter. Furthermore, the assessment area is limited to the outer 3 layers and crossing the boundary is very dangerous. As soon as the assessment commenced, Hero wasted no time and ran straight to the testing area. Eula was pissed, wondering why this man is so competitive. They began running upstairs, and in no time, he managed to reach the stage. The other students couldn't help but be amazed by his speed, admiring his physical fitness. The teleportation platform began activating, setting the destination to the forest sanctuary. He wore a determined look as the teleportation countdown began activating. Soon, a vortex of blue light began swirling and sucking him in. Instantly, he found himself within the perimeter of the forest sanctuary. There were 2 professors waiting, wondering how high can the students level up. They especially paid close attention to Eula, thinking her profession as a flame mage gives her advantage. They're also considering Hero, who went under celestial phenomena and gained the necromancer profession, but they deemed him mediocre, and the undead he can summon are only comparable to second-level monsters. Meanwhile, Hero noticed a subtle movement within the bushes behind him. There came a monster rabbit, roaring as it launched at him to attack. Hero immediately recognized the presence of the monster. He pulled out his blade, thinking this would be perfect for warming up. In just one slash, he managed to cut down the rabbit. It fell to the ground beneath his feet, groaning and unconscious. A notification then alerted him of gaining 5% experience for killing the rabbit. He then sighed, relieved that he can handle a level 1 wild monster on his own. In this world, everyone can enter the job-changing tower when they turn 18. Afterward, they can either continue as ordinary people or participate in the assessment to become a hunter. Hero chose to become a professional, not because of some noble spirit or earning a lot of money. It was because he witnessed his family taken from him one by one while he's powerless. He felt his own weakness and learned that the law cannot protect the people he loved. This is his motivation. He wants to become someone strong enough to protect what's his. As he continued exploring, he encountered a level 2 gray squirrel. He wondered why he encountered a monster that's not supposed to appear this quickly. Dealing with a level 2 monster is not something one can handle easily. With this, he had no choice but to summon his level 1 broken undead familiar. The broken undead immediately attacked the squirrel monster with no hesitation, but then, the ground began cracking, and several more gray squirrels came out of the holes. Hero was utterly surprised that there are 3 more monsters that he needs to deal with. He wondered why there are so many level 2 monsters around this area. He knew that to face these opponents on the first day, most teams won't stand a chance. However, his summoning is not limited to calling forth just one creature. Standing atop the job-changing tower, he remembered the other students looking down on the profession he awakened. They were laughing that his undead creatures were almost comparable to an ordinary person. He remembers Eula getting pissed after hearing their words and almost burned them with her flames, but Hero could only see them as a bunch of fools. Just like the group of people who took away his sister back then, these guys are so short-sighted. He could only grit his teeth in frustration, saying that he wasn't a normal undead summoner. He He proudly declared himself as the undead sovereign as he called forth his undeads. With them around, dealing with these measly gray squirrels was nothing to him. From then, the notifications of gaining experience points sounded one after another. The undead creatures continued pushing back the monsters and cornering them. But as the saying goes, cornered rats are expected to bite. To Hiro's surprise, these monsters began pushing back the creatures he summoned. He was completely baffled because these monsters shouldn't be stronger than his undead. The rats gritted their teeth and contracted their muscles. They began transforming. From their backs protruded a pair of bat wings. Looking at them, he could only deduce that these monsters have leveled up. He immediately ordered his undead to retreat for a while, to which they complied. He then sent them to launch an all-out attack on the monster. All three of them rushed to deal with the Greywood Rat King, while the monster prepared to fight back. But because the monster had gained flight, his undeads were having difficulty fighting. Hiro decided that if 3 undeads aren't enough, he has to bring another 3. 3 more undeads were then summoned exactly surrounding the Greywood Rat King. Their combined attacks succeeded in taking the monster down to the ground. Hiro squinted his eyes as he looked at the ongoing battle. There the monster was, fleeing from his pack of undeads. He commended the monster's cleverness for coming straight at him. But too bad for it, clashing with Hiro was a dead end for him too. Tiny dark hands then emerged and engulfed the rat as he activated his spirit erosion skill. Not long after, the monster was inside a space full of domineering spirits looking down on him. It then heard a voice commanding him to submit, to which the monster began losing his consciousness. An imprint was then activated in the forehead of the monster as it continued deteriorating. As its head exploded, he wondered if that was really an imprint placed by others. He couldn't believe that the monster actually activated self-destruction. As the monster laid down beneath his feet, he wondered what had just happened, but he quickly realized that he doesn't have much time and must prioritize reaching level 6. As he walked forward, he quietly vowed to catch up to his sister soon. On the other side of the forest, other students were busy dealing with a different monster. The wild boar monster rammed itself straight to them, to which they struggled in dealing with it. To their rescue, Eula activated her flame fists against the monster. In no time, all they heard was a loud, agonizing roar as the monster was scorched in flames. Just like that, their team has defeated a level 3 ironclad boar. It took so much effort, but they were able to deal with it in the end. Eula even proudly declared that she aims to hunt a level 5 monster before the assessment ends. But Oji and Yana expressed that they might not be able to catch up to her plan. Suddenly, the ground began shaking and all 3 of them were alarmed. They deduced that it's not an earthquake, more like something is approaching. From the trees peeked a towering monster made out of rock. After fully showing itself, it was revealed that this is a level 6 stone ape monster. Oji quickly suggested they spread out since it would be bad if this monster locks onto them. But due to overwhelming fear, Yana's knees gave up and she collapsed to the ground. She couldn't stand. Her legs were trembling with so much fear. She screamed as the stone ape began approaching her. It locked its gaze onto her and recognized her as a target, while both Oji and Eula were alarmed. Without hesitation, Oji quickly stepped forward to tank the damage from the monster. They gritted their teeth as they braced for the impact of the coming monster. Oji remembered his grandparents, as well as his promise of returning safe. The monster balled his fists and prepared to punch them down, but Oji was determined not to back down and protect his teammate. As the punch connected, dust and smoke rose from the ground while Eula worriedly called for her teammates. But to the stone ape's surprise, an undead monster was already blocking his fist with nothing but his scythe. Both Oji and Yana were surprised, wondering what had just happened. From behind then emerged Hiro, surprising Eula with his sudden arrival. He stood there as Eula wondered since when he had arrived. He didn't answer, but instead began preaching about protecting the one he wants to protect. As his undead creature tore through the stone ape's body with ease, he said that it is the job of a professional. Eula was surprised to see him defeat a level 6 monster with just a single blow. The monster acknowledged its loss and retreated back to the forest. It turned around, not planning to return and bother them again. Eula frantically turned to Hiro to ask about the Reaper, only to be surprised that he suddenly vanished. Remembering that this wasn't the power he displayed back then, she was left wondering how strong Hiro really was. Eula rushed to check on her teammates, to which Oji assured her that they were all right. But upon hearing that Oji had teased her, Yana was a little bit pissed. Eula then asked if they saw Hiro, to which Oji said they saw him headed to the direction where the stone ape was running. Both Oji and Yana wondered if he was going in for the kill after the Grim Reaper injured it. That was when Eula asked them if they remembered what Hiro's profession was at the job transition ceremony. The two of them exchanged glances as they recalled he was an undead summoner, but were then surprised when they finally realized what was going on. Eula hates to admit it, but she had no choice and must acknowledge it. There is a high chance that Hiro is probably stronger than any of them could imagine. Meanwhile, the fleeing stone ape was seen retreating back to the mountains. But little did he know, Hiro had already tracked him and asked who commanded him. The stone ape only yelled at him in response. Seeing that there's no hope for this monster to talk, he decided to just use him as a test subject. He activated his memory read skill, an upgraded spirit erosion skill of his. The stone ape squinted his eyes as Hiro's skill began taking effect. A vision of an enraged silhouette was seen, revealing that he was the one behind all this. Looking at the imprint on his chest, Hiro recognized that it was the same imprint on the Greywood Rat King back then. The entity, the dungeon boss, possessed the stone ape and asked if Hiro was the human who killed several of his generals. Hiro was unfazed and confirmed if he was the one who was pulling the strings from behind. The dungeon boss didn't respond and just declared that he is a king-level monster whom Hiro could never defeat. But in Hiro's eyes, he is nothing but a measly lump of experience points that will make him grow. The dungeon boss laughed at his hubris and threatened to devour mankind once he revived. Hearing this pissed Hiro off, making him clench his fist. At his order, the Grim Reaper instantly cut off the stone ape's head with ease. Hiro really hates it when people threaten him with those around him. But the dungeon boss was just possessing the stone ape, and therefore his original body wasn't truly damaged. Though, killing the stone ape granted him enough experience points to reach level 6. With this, he was qualified to finally activate his Sovereign Awakening. Upon activation, he found himself standing within a storm of ominous dark energy. He then saw visions of Eula, Yana, and OG. Suddenly, all three of them were surprised to see something in front of them. Standing before them was a massive serpent-like creature and the silhouette of a mysterious man. Looking at it, Hiro was surprised as he realized that it was the true Emperor. Purple sparks and a dragon-like creature was seen looming from within the clouds. Among the curious crowd watching this sighting from below was a mysterious woman. She only smiled and fixed her cap as she recognized that this is a second awakening. She then turned to leave, saying it was a shame they had to leave the city. Back at the forest sanctuary, the professors were both excited and anxious with the second awakening. They found it strange that something seems to be blocking the activation of the spatial stone. They already tried everything they could, but the passage still has no response. The professors were afraid that this might not be temporary, and that the secret realm seems to have permanently closed. Meanwhile, the grand sacrificial ceremony is finally complete and humans can't escape anymore. The dungeon boss ordered his servants to unleash chaos since no one will disturb them anymore. Meanwhile, a group of students were leisurely wandering around the forests. As they were walking, one of them noticed something behind. When they looked, they saw a towering ogre looking at them. The level 6 ogre roared, frightening the three of them. Meanwhile, there was also a loud rustling heard from the bushes. There emerged a serpent-like monster that wrapped itself around the students. Another group encountered a pack of wolves and were cornered to a tree. There were also some students who were caught in a spider's webs. Meanwhile, the professors were still trying to open the secret realm, but they couldn't. They were panicking that the students inside won't be able to get out of the place. The professor decided to shut off his device after deeming himself powerless. He approached the teleportation platform, saying they can only hope that the students inside the secret realm can defeat the mastermind behind it. Meanwhile, Hiro managed to complete his Sovereign Awakening and changed his job to the Undead Sovereign. He obtained the unique divine level active skill called Sovereign Power. He also heard the voice declare that he had obtained the divine level passive skill, Indomitable Will. The voice continued explaining the purposes of his skills, to which he wondered who was speaking. The voice then revealed that it is the spirit of the divine level occupational system, surprising Hiro. To more of his shock, it was revealed that this spirit is a fallen angel. The fallen angel revealed that it was capable of different things, including the scanning of the area for signs of life. Hiro commanded the fallen angel to start scanning the area. It then told him that there are 4 signs of life, which made Hiro think if it was Eula's team. He asked it to be more specific, but it responded by using his vengeful spirit. His hand glowed in dark energy, summoning 3 vengeful spirits in front of him. He then commanded them to search the area, in which they followed instantly as they walked towards the forest. Hiro sat down and decided to try his new ability. He closed his eyes and shared a vision with one of his spirits. His eyes glowed as he became amused by it. He scanned his spirit as he was able to share bodies with them now. One of the spirits seemed to be detecting something, prompting him to ask. He was shocked to see a scorched earth from a fire, thinking it was Eula's team. He then asked the fallen angel to scan life again, but it replied with 0. He got confused because it only took half a minute to disappear quickly. He also noticed that there weren't any footprints and signs of departure. He quickly stood up, refusing to believe that they just disappeared. He recalled that Eula has a rare profession and low-level monsters can't pose a threat to them. He gritted his teeth, thinking that something really happened. He then remembered the dungeon boss's threat towards them, thinking that it was his fault. He stopped midway, realizing that the dungeon boss has completely controlled the secret realm they are in. Dark tendrils suddenly swirl around his hand, summoning all his vengeful spirits from the ground. Kneeling on the ground, his vengeful spirits surrounded the area. With eager resolve, he commanded all of them to clear the entire secret realm. Yana slowly opened her eyes, hearing someone calling her name. OG seemed to be worried, telling her to wake up. Inside the dark cavern, the hunters were confused and asked different questions with one another. The dungeon boss welcomed them, getting all of their attention. A red energy suddenly appeared, prompting the two students to step back. All of them then noticed a huge statue looming before them, thinking that it was the one speaking. Their mouths parted as they heard that it was a sacrificial altar. The dungeon boss grinned widely, being surrounded by his small fry monsters. The hunters started bickering, saying that it must be the dungeon boss. The dungeon boss started speaking of his hatred, saying that humans have trampled all of them. Their faces became visibly scared upon hearing it. Pointing the altar, he instructed them to pledge loyalty to him. The hunters recognized that it was the monster from the history book. The dungeon boss proudly told them that he recreated the altar, adding that they will obtain power once they step in. The others looked at Eula, urging her to go, but she dismissed it. The dungeon boss revealed that all the monsters there came from his magic. With a wide smirk, he revealed that only humans can completely absorb the power, because the Lord of Disaster was once a human, prompting the hunters to react in shock. Raising his hand, the dungeon boss revealed the true nature of humans. He then asked them if they chose to survive or die, causing the yellow-haired guy named Goku to contemplate. He started walking towards the stair, alerting the people around him. The other one started asking him, but he simply answered that he wanted to be stronger. An explosion upstairs suddenly took place, causing them to brace themselves. Goku abruptly turned his head. Eula called him an idiot while raising her flaming hand because it seemed to be a trap. Goku sneered, saying that those with rare professions like Eula can become stronger sooner. Turning his back, he decided to go even if it's a scheme because it is a chance for him. OG told Eula to dismiss it because he won't listen. Goku leapt upward, landing in front of the statue. He spread his arms, asking to become a protagonist. The dungeon boss chuckles in amusement while waiting for it to happen. Suddenly, the statue let out a crimson smoke from its mouth. It engulfed the guy who's been really excited to be stronger. His eyes widened as he felt the energy flowing in his body. He then laughed while his figure changed amidst the smoke. Goku's body turned bulky and red as he became a level 7 fallen demon. The hunters noticed that he really became stronger, but his looks changed. The dungeon boss commanded him to prove his loyalty to them, prompting the guy to ask how he would be able to do that. The dungeon boss's face became twisted as he ordered him to kill all the humans inside, prompting him to face them and grab his sword at the back. Goku was no longer human in form and appearance. Looking at him, his classmates were mad at him that he betrayed mankind. Meanwhile, the dungeon boss and the monsters seemed to be enjoying the show of humans feeling fear. One of their popular classmates named Zina then threatened to tell her father if he helped the monsters, to which Goku only gave her a cold stare without saying a word. Goku leaped down the altar and landed in front of his classmates, terrifying them. He then spoke, saying they seemed to have misunderstood the situation. Without a warning, he immediately struck Xena in the face. Everyone was utterly surprised, thinking Goku had killed her. Of all the things Goku hates, it was the arrogant people who irked him the most. Everyone panicked and ran away as they realized Goku was serious about killing them. Eula urged everyone not to run and cooperate, but they were too scared. One by one, they jumped off the platform, desperately trying to escape. Goku stormed through them like a crimson lightning as he wreaked havoc. He threw multiple projectiles toward the students, successfully hitting them all as they ran away. One of the girls even tripped and fell as a projectile approached. Fortunately, a flame ring was conjured to block the attack. Goku gritted his teeth, wondering what had just happened. He then saw that it was Eula, preparing for another round. Enraged, Goku bursted with overwhelming crimson power as he prepared to attack. He was confident that his demon form could now go against Eula. But then, the latter activated her phoenix feather armor to block. However, Goku's attack was so powerful that Eula struggled to block it. She was thrown away, to which OG and Yana fortunately caught her. Goku grinned, confidently declaring that they're not good enough to stop him. Eula and her squad wondered what to do while Goku continued to flaunt his power. Eula decided that they must buy time until rescue comes. OG was hesitant since there was no one to rescue them, but Eula believes that they still have hope. After all, they still have Hero, who was searching for them. As Hero's summon crossed the barrier, Hero finally found out through his sensory sharing that it had been concealed. It was no wonder he couldn't find the nest after all that searching. The dungeon boss was then surprised to see his monster coming back without his order. It then reported that there was a human outside who killed all the demons outside. The dungeon boss was angered, but he knew that now is not the critical time yet. But looking at Goku, he knew that it won't take long before humans are eliminated. Goku was already losing his sanity, being corrupted by the demonic power. Eula and her team wondered why he became like a monster. Eula was also drained of power. She had reached her limit already. She collapsed to the ground, regretful that she can't catch up to Hiro anymore. Suddenly, there was a powerful explosion from above. Goku's attention was caught as a projectile approached him from behind. It was Hiro, apologizing for coming late as his blade tore through Goku's chest. Goku stood there, grunting as he looked at the blade protruding his chest. Hiro then landed flashily as Goku fell down to the ground. Eula's team looked at him in surprise, calling his name as he stood in front of them. Hiro's eyes scanned the place, which was full of his classmate's dead body. Guilt struck him hard as he apologized for coming too late. He faced the dungeon boss while telling Yana to take care of Eula's treatment. The dungeon boss threatened Hiro for killing the Lord of Disaster's successor, but Hiro was not at all bothered by his power. Enraged, the dungeon boss immediately ordered his underlings. The demons were delighted as they were tasked to kill the remaining humans. Despite knowing Hiro's strength, Aji was worried and stepped up to assist him, but Hiro assured him that he's not fighting alone. Oji misunderstood this, thinking he was expecting him to fight alongside him. Hiro pulled his shoulder and clarified that he didn't mean that. What he meant is that he can summon his own army of powerful undead. It was his summons versus the dungeon boss's underling, facing each other in a tense stare-down. The all-out war broke in no time, throwing the whole place into chaos. Oji remarked that those high-level monsters were no match for Hiro's summons, but Hiro knew that the boss was still planning something. He speculated that maybe he never needed a successor in the first place. He then figured out that he plans to use the mark to indirectly control the Lord of Disaster's power. But suddenly, Goku revived as the Lord of Disaster and attacked him in the stomach. Yana worriedly called out his name upon seeing this, while the dungeon boss chuckled as he commended him for being a smart human. Hiro gagged as the monster explained that his guess was spot on. Hiro's summons began disintegrating as he suffered a lot of damage. Meanwhile, the dungeon boss was growing stronger by exploiting the contract he established with the Lord of the Disaster. He unleashed an attack toward Hiro, causing him to fall to the ground. The others worriedly called his name while he seemed to have lost his consciousness. Now, the dungeon boss ordered his servants to offer their powers to him. The monsters complied without a word, unleashing their powers for him. But little did he know, there was one undead who managed to sneak behind him. It was Hiro himself, who was using the undead as his avatar. The dungeon boss was utterly surprised to see that Hiro didn't die. He wasted no time and immediately pushed forward with his attack. The dungeon boss was cut in half, dying as he wondered how a mere human was this powerful. Afterward, Hiro's consciousness returned to his own body as he stood up. Eula's squad worriedly looked at him as he declared that he would grow more powerful. Suddenly, a purple crystal hovered in front of him. He looked at it and asked if this was an item dropped by the boss. The fallen angel replied, saying this isn't an item dropped by the boss. Suddenly, Aji was alarmed as he noticed something. He then told Hiro to watch out as the Lord of Disaster stood beside him. Only then did Hiro realize that he had forgotten about this enemy. The Lord of Disaster wasted no time and immediately punched him, to which he evaded, but it was still powerful enough to have sent him sliding backward. He assured Oji and Yana that he was fine and told them to leave first. The Lord of Disaster continued to wreak havoc while Hiro's Grim Reapers stopped it. He added that he couldn't last long, so they must quickly leave the place. The others were worried, but he told them that they would only be a burden if they stayed there. Now that the situation has come to this, they have no choice but to just believe in him. Outside the forest sanctuary, the parents of the students are wondering what's taking the trial so long. They were rallying the examiners to tell them what was really going on. Suddenly, the teleportation platform emitted a bright blue light. Everyone was surprised to see that someone had teleported. When they looked, they saw it was Oji, Yana, and Eula. They immediately called for paramedics because Eula was injured. Her father worriedly called her upon seeing her state. The other professors then asked when the medical care was coming. They turned to Oji, asking what happened inside and where the rest of the students were. Teary-eyed, he regretfully reported that they have all died, surprising everyone. They then looked at the parents, who had their anxieties growing. The mood instantly darkened. They had no choice but to give the parents an explanation regarding this matter. Meanwhile, there are other hunters waiting outside for those who came out of the test. They seemed to be hoping for Hiro to have died in that dungeon. Suddenly, everyone was surprised as it was announced that someone was coming out. It was none other than Hiro, who collapsed to the ground. Everyone panicked as they thought that he had died. Oji worriedly called for him, begging him to not die. He then opened his eyes and told them that he was still alive. Oji was surprised, wondering if he really defeated that monster, but he said that he didn't. It was so powerful, and he can only bury it in the cave. The professor recognized him as the one who had a second awakening in the dungeon. As they were talking, a purple energy suddenly made its way through Hiro's chest. Hiro noticed it and opened his eyes. He knew that someone sneakily attacked him. He also felt that he was unable to summon the undead and asked the fallen angel what was going on. The fallen angel revealed that he is under the effect of forbidden magic. He was surprised that there is such an ability and wondered who did that to him. The professor then asked him what it is, to which he said it was nothing. He then found it strange that the feeling disappeared just now. The professor then apologized for not bringing him immediately to medical treatment. However, they need to ask him questions so they can explain to the family of the students. The nighttime came so quickly. Hiro was walking home as he thought it was finally over. He remembered the professor's surprised looks when he revealed the monsters he fought inside. They speculated that there was some external force that might have been used in that dungeon. Hiro then asked if they doubted his story, but the professors were experts in telepathy. He smiled, remembering that most of what he said is indeed true, but his intuition is telling him that the crystal exudes a necromantic aura that cannot be told. Suddenly, he turned back as he heard a voice calling him from behind. He wasted no time and immediately summoned his army of Grim Reapers. These people then commended him for being able to summon high-level familiars. But the man is a level 13 professional assassin and was confident in his speed. He claims Hiro is nothing but vulnerable and attacks him. The Grim Reapers stabbed the clones of the assassin, but the original assassin managed to sneak behind him. Not wanting to be bothered anymore, Hiro decided to finally take things seriously. His domineering and ominous aura completely engulfed the assassin in dread. Suddenly, someone chimed in and called the assassin trash. Hiro was surprised and alarmed upon hearing this. He then braced for an attack as he realized that it was the man who attacked him sneakily earlier. Hiro prepared himself for a fight, gritting his teeth as he looked forward. The man then angrily threw away the assassin for not being able to beat a mere kid. The assassin reported that Hiro is strange after experiencing his skill earlier. Hiro asked who these guys were, to which Shan only gave the assassin 1 minute to defeat him, but the assassin confidently said he only needs 30 seconds with Shan's help. He then cut Hiro down from all angles, while the latter could only block. Hiro thought that his body became stiff, not expecting the enemy to be capable of suppressing magic. With this, he had no choice but to activate his Spirit Descend skill. He then saw things from the perspective of his summon. Seeing the blue layer covering his body, he asked the fallen angel what it was. Upon learning that it was an ability that forbids his use of magic, he figured out that it was because of Shan's eyes that he can activate this ability. Suddenly, the Reaper swiftly emerged from out of nowhere. Shan and his lackey were surprised upon seeing this. Now, Hiro figured out that he just doesn't have to be within Shan's eyesight. The assassin panicked upon seeing that he was uninjured. Hiro then controlled the Reaper to attack, saying it's his turn now. He threw the spear directly toward Shan's head, but the latter only smiled as he blocked his head with a barrier. Hiro was surprised upon seeing this. It was then revealed that Shan's armor is made by a level 30 craftsman. Shan originally didn't plan to attack, but he had changed his mind now. Hiro prepared himself, carefully weighing the situation, but out of nowhere, his phone vibrated. When he looked, he saw his brother's text saying he wanted to see him in an hour. With this, they had no choice but to leave immediately. Hiro was puzzled by the sudden development of the story. They then bade their farewell, but continued to threaten him that this won't be the end. At the administration city branch, the professors were talking about the recent incident in the dungeon. They were worried that there was something dangerous left in there. But then, the man on the other line suddenly scolded him for being too meddlesome with the dungeon affairs. The man then asked how come only 5 people were left alive. The professor then reported that someone managed to increase levels up to level 10 in a beginner exam. Back at Hiro's house, he was trying to examine the necromancy gem he acquired. He then speculated that this is the crystal behind the closing of the dungeon from the inside. The aura that it exudes is very similar to that of the dead. To test this, he used his sword and slashed down the gem. The gem didn't budge and only unleashed a powerful shockwave. Hiro could only sob as his hands trembled from the pain. Seeing that the gem wasn't moving at all, he went back to his body and ordered the Reapers to attack it simultaneously. Using his monarch authority, he gave them the go signal. A loud thud was then heard, to which his neighbor angrily yelled at him for making a noise at midnight. He wondered what kind of material this gem is for it to be indestructible. He wondered if it was because he was too weak and his attributes were too low. His phone then vibrated, catching his attention. He then picked up the phone and asked who it was. It was the professor, reporting to him that some people had come to the Warcraft area. It turns out that they were after the gold scroll hunt. Hearing this, Hiro asked what it was and if everyone would participate. Turns out that this is a ranking competition among various societies, and they're after the item drop of high-level monsters. The professor asked why he was asking about this, to which Hiro silently wondered if that person would participate too. He then declared that he also wanted to go to that place. The professor was surprised since that area has monsters over level 15. Hiro stood before the Daxia checkpoint, the place everyone must pass to legally leave the city. He remembered the professor, insisting he must promise one thing. Going alone would have been easier for him, but his ID isn't ready yet. Meanwhile, a voice was heard calling Uncle Jin. She even waved her hand to catch his attention. When they finally saw each other, they then greeted each other. Uncle Jin told everyone to relax, though they still need one more person. When asked about the splitting of loot, he said that a level 10 kid won't get a share. The others then asked him to explain why they must carry a dead weight. Jin then told them that they would get money if they could bring the kid with them and bring him back alive. Everyone was surprised and has mixed reactions about this. Jin would have normally refused as well, but he revealed that this raid is different. While they were speaking, Hiro was already standing in front of them. Jin then asked him to introduce himself, to which he did. Freddy introduced himself, but activated a skill against him. Hiro fell to his illusion skill for a brief moment, but quickly dispelled it as he politely told him that he's only there to learn from his seniors. Freddy suddenly felt a sharp pain when his skill had backfired. Jin then asked for his pass, while Freddy thought he was weird. Hiro figured out that Freddy doesn't want him joining this raid. Everything is settled, and they're about to get going, while Hiro was thinking of an excuse to slip away. Inside, they are aiming to mine magic crystals essential for forging weapons and brewing potions. Since they're only found in level 15 beasts, craftsmen usually hire others to get them, and crystal hunters like Jin and his group are freelance raiders who hunt beast cores. Hiro asked what's their first step, to which Jin said they would deviate from the usual. He revealed that there is a reliable intel about a heavily wounded golden beast in the West Mountain. Everyone was surprised upon hearing this, except for Hiro, who had to ask what it was. Emily then explained that golden beasts can potentially drop golden scrolls. Hearing this, Hiro thought it would be better to tag along with them. Everyone was thrilled by the idea that they'll be striking a pot of gold in this raid. Cautious as he is, Jack asked where he got the intel. Jin revealed that Hiro's backer was the one who provided the intel to them. Jack looked unimpressed, but he didn't speak a word. For him, it still feels too good to be true. Now that they're ready, Jin summoned his massive bird familiar. Hiro looked at him, surprised to see that he was a summoner as well. Hearing that they're after a level 20 blue fang viper, everyone was thrilled. Jin already scouted the place and prepared countermeasures for the beast. Thinking about the money, they began discussing what they wanted to buy with it. Emily added that she wanted to help her parents start a business so they won't have to work hard. Hiro was about to speak when Freddy suddenly cut him off. He immediately changed his sentence, thinking that he is so annoying. Jin warned him that attacking a beast isn't a game and he must follow his orders. He then told everyone to hop on his beast to save time and energy. Now that they have boarded, they're finally ready to move out. Meanwhile, a robotic lizard crawled out of the leaves. It looked at Jin's team and recognized the party members' levels. But then, he wondered why there was one guy who had such a low level. Finally, Jin and his party have arrived at the nest of the blue fang viper. The bird perched onto a cliff as the party landed to the ground. Jin then turned to Freddy and asked if he brought a rope. As they went down, Jin told Hiro to wait for them there because they couldn't cover for him. Suddenly, Hiro felt something resonating from within. He felt that the gems seemed to be reacting with a certain energy. From deep within the pit of the cavern, a breeze blew upward. Lying in wait was the monster they set their eyes to hunt, the blue fang viper. It stared forward, detecting the presence of intruders in her nest. Meanwhile, Freddy and the others continued to climb down the nest. They were struggling to go down because there's barely anywhere to step. Suddenly, he felt something streak past behind him and asked who was there. Seeing that there was none, he dismissed it as his imagination. Little did he know, Hiro already managed to sneak in through his Reaper form. He knew that rocks don't react on their own, and something's definitely wrong in this place. Jin's party finally reached the bottom of the cave. They then continued to traverse the narrow pathways inside. After quite a while of walking, Jack ordered for them to stop. In front of them were countless blue snakes slithering on their way. They speculated that these snakes must be the guard snakes. Jack turned to Jin and happily commended his intel. Everyone prepared as the blue snakes began slithering towards them. With a single order from Jin, his summoned bird immediately dove into battle and tore the snakes apart. The other members weren't willing to just stand around either. While they continued battling with the snakes, Hiro was there, watching them. He found it weird that these snakes have more than just their own aura. He feels like there's another kind of energy mixed in with them. He was then surprised since normal monsters vanish fast after dying, but their bodies were still there. Suddenly, a dead snake's body began swelling with green light. It then exploded, releasing a thick cloud of toxic gas toward them. Jin was surprised. He didn't expect this to happen. They then turned to Emily and asked her to use Dispel, but to their horror, Emily found herself unable to use any skills. Jack wondered what was happening and if Azure Snakes could really do this. Meanwhile, another snake then slithered its way through them while chuckling. It then approached Jin, sarcastically asking about the intel it sold him. Jin was surprised, wondering why he did this after he paid plenty for the intel. But the snake only laughed at Jin for being blinded by a mere golden scroll. The snake theme revealed that he is a hunter class. Hiro was surprised upon hearing this. It was the kind who ambushes and hunts people in the wild. Jin ordered his men to pull out and forget the golden scroll. Suddenly, the room was filled with yet another kind of smoke. The snake slithered back to the tunnel, saying that the Snake King is finally awake and will come after them. It then turned to Emily, proposing to save her if she's willing to become his healer. Enraged, Freddy suddenly slashed the robot's head. The real mastermind behind this was outside, sarcastically hoping they're still alive by an hour. He sat on the cliff, thinking he was the one who would reap everything. He wondered where that missing guy went off to, but thought that a level 10 weakling won't cause trouble. Little did he know, the same level 10 weakling was already eyeing him from behind. The mastermind was leisurely resting near the cliff, thinking about how convenient the situation is for him. Suddenly, his phone vibrated from the message of an acquaintance. He picked up the phone, wondering who was calling him at this time. The man called him Lizard and asked him where he was, to which he said he was working. Hiro continued to eavesdrop while the man unknowingly went on with the call. Upon listening, he learned that they were actually targeting the Huaching Academy. Lizard continued talking over the phone about a strong girl at Hoa King. Hearing this, Hiro thought it was the person he was looking for. He leaned closer to get a better reception of their conversation, but Lizard's sharp senses didn't miss his presence this time. Hiro's eyes widened when he was spotted, while a powerful explosion ensued after Lizard's attack. Lizard said that the reason someone was missing is because Hiro was hiding. Meanwhile, most of Hiro's Grim Reapers have died from the recent attack. Looking at him, Hiro thought that Lizard is the scariest opponent he had met. Lizard then told him to relax, saying he's not interested in a level 10 rookie. Hiro turned back, confused that the enemy was letting him go. But Lizard's plans were far from that as a wicked smile stretched in his lips. Suddenly, his robotic lizard emerged from the ground and lunged at Hiro. The robot swallowed the confused Hiro whole, while Lizard himself burst into laughter as he mocked Hiro's naivety. The robot's mouth snapped shut, locking Hiro inside it. Lizard couldn't help but be delighted by the feeling of crushing a prey's hope with his own hands. He then admitted that he was scared for a moment after he survived his attack unscathed. But now that he's been dealt with, Lizard let his guard down and turned back. Meanwhile, Hiro survived by transferring his consciousness to his avatar. He knew that the enemy was thinking that he's dead already. Meanwhile, his real body that was inside the robot scanned the whole place. The fallen angel finished scanning the mechanical lizard. Upon meeting all the conditions for taking over, the fallen angel asked if he wanted to strip control of the mechanical lizard. Hiro wasted no time and immediately ordered the seizing of control. Instantly, the robot's eyes glowed differently in response to him taking over. Now, the situation has turned and the prey has become the hunter. Back inside the cave, everyone was struggling to deal with the blue fang viper. The snake wasn't willing to back down and continued pushing forward. With this, Emily was struggling to maintain the barrier to protect them. Freddy was blaming the poisonous mist from earlier for slowing them down. The blue fang viper continued pushing forward and cracked the shield. In no time, the barrier collapsed and Jack was pushed back. He was slumped to the ground, coughing as he thought it was over. Meanwhile, Jin was blaming himself for bringing everyone to that place. Feeling responsible for their lives, he recklessly charged in to kill the serpent. Jack worriedly called him upon seeing him attack the boss monster. Meanwhile, the serpent roared as it prepared for another attack. As everyone worriedly called for Jin, Hiro's Grim Reaper dashed above them. They were surprised upon seeing the Grim Reaper suddenly strike the monster on its chest. Following it were golden lightning orbs that were cast, dealing internal damage to the serpent. The Grim Reaper quickly saved Jin as the monster fell to the ground. Meanwhile, everyone wondered what it was that suddenly killed the monster. Jin spoke and asked the Grim Reaper why it saved him, to which the Grim Reaper only looked at him with cold eyes. It then laid Jin to the ground while he said he must be dizzy for talking to a summoned creature. But then, Jin was surprised when the Grim Reaper asked him if he had any of the orbs left. Hearing it speak, he wondered if the Grim Reaper was really a summoned creature. As the smoke settled down, they saw Jin talking with the Grim Reaper. Jack looked at the Grim Reaper, wondering who exactly that is. Jin said he still had one more Thunder Orb, to which the Grim Reaper said there was one more enemy up there, but Jin told Hiro that these are useless against a hard outer shell. Suddenly, the Grim Reaper notices that the enemy is finally coming. The whole place shook as ominous crimson energy seeped from the cavern opening. Everyone was alarmed. The hunter was coming to hunt them down. Lizard stepped in, surprised to see that they were still alive. He said he thought it would be a gruesome death for them. Little did he know, the Grim Reaper was already hiding and looking after his head. Lizard continued yapping about taking the rare magic crystals for himself. Freddy saw that the hunter was about to seize their hard-earned magic crystal and ran toward it. But Lizard won't let him be and orders his robot to kill him. But the robot didn't move, to which he speculated that it malfunctioned. Seeing this, he decided to do it by himself and attacked Freddy. As the latter crouched near the magic crystals, a golden beam streaked toward him. It hit him directly and pushed him back, making him groan in pain. Freddy was thrown away and landed in front of Jack and Emily, while Lizard picked up the magic crystal and claimed that it was his to take. He jokingly said it would make him a bandit and laughed it off. Suddenly, the robot Lizard moved without his orders. He turned back to see what had happened. To his surprise, the robot Lizard began attacking him. He backed away, wondering what happened to his robot as the Grim Reaper sneaked behind him. The Grim Reaper managed to successfully land a hit behind his back. It didn't seem enough to deal damage as Lizard demanded the identity of the Grim Reaper. The latter coldly said that he was just there to take his life, while the former panted. The tables have turned for him. The prey he was supposed to hunt are now hunting him. He gritted his teeth, thinking that he was left with no choice now. Now that he's cornered, he plans on ingesting the magic crystal to boost his power. Jack and Jin were alarmed to see him attempting to swallow the magic crystal. Without hesitation, Lizard pushed the magic crystal down his throat. However, the Grim Reaper revealed that what he swallowed wasn't a magic crystal. Suddenly, Lizard felt a sharp pain that made him pale. He collapsed to the ground, trembling as he clutched his stomach. Earlier, Jin was discussing that the enemy must swallow the Thunder Orb for it to take effect. The Grim Reaper said he has a plan and asked if they had someone who can use illusions. That was when Jin finally understood what the Grim Reaper was trying to do. The Thunder Orb continued wrecking Lizard's body from the inside out. He then collapsed to the ground, his body smoking and unconscious. Jin was surprised and couldn't believe that it really worked. Meanwhile, Freddy and Emily were so exhausted that they couldn't even stand up. The Grim Reaper then advised him that they need to leave quickly because he has an organization behind him. Freddy insisted they must search for the boss's lair first, but Jack stopped him. He explained that the team is weak and they must prioritize survival first. He said that they should just leave it to him as gratitude for saving them. Freddy understood his words and complied. He then turned to the Grim Reaper and asked how he knew about his illusion abilities. The Grim Reaper simply replied that he experienced it. Freddy was then surprised as he figured out that the real identity of this man is Hero. After they left, the Grim Reaper cut off the face of the mecha lizard. Coming out of it was Hero's real body. He stretched his body, relieved that he finally managed to get out. He then looked out at Lizard, who was lying dead on the ground. He wondered if his appearance had changed after his death. Wasting no time, he immediately looted his disguise robe and other valuable items. He was then surprised to see that there was a skill book in Lizard's items. He was also surprised to see that there are treasure scrolls in Lizard's storage. Turns out that the gold scrolls they mentioned are actually these gold treasure scrolls. He then asked the fallen angel why there was a silver skill book in gold treasure scrolls, to which it said that the skill book was just a part of the gold treasure. The fallen angel then asked him if he wanted to open it or preserve its value. Hero wasted no time and gambled it away, earning the skill Dark Slash as he opened the scroll. It was a decent skill that would allow him to merge into darkness and execute an ambush. The fallen angel then asked him if he wanted to enhance the skill book's effect. Hero was about to decline and said that skill books are too far out of reach for him, but the gem suddenly began reacting once again. It was pointing to a deeper part of the snake cave, hinting at the hidden treasures buried within. When he checked, he found a massive snake egg hatching. Suddenly, the gem from earlier hovered in the air, surprising him. It then began absorbing the energy of the snake egg, surprising Hero even more that it can convert energy into experience. He managed to gain up to level 12 experience and unlock the Dark Slash skill. But then, the snake egg continued emitting powerful energy that threw him off. Hero could barely stand as he watched the snake egg. He was alarmed that the snake egg is fighting the gem, putting the cave at risk of collapsing. He grabbed the gem and planned to leave, thinking it was a waste to let go. But he was then surprised as he continued holding on to it. The gem won't move no matter how hard he pulls it. Pissed, he lashed out on the gem for defying his will. The emission of energy continued and the cave began collapsing, even the exterior part of the mountain. Meanwhile, a woman named Freya felt it and said someone was coming. She happily turned around and declared that someone was coming to save her. Her kidnappers were confused after hearing her nonsensical words. They then told her that there is not a single soul in these mountains. The kidnappers then began flirting with each other, to which she disgustingly told them to stop. As they went on with their bickering, Hero passed behind them while wearing a disguise. The kidnappers were alarmed and threatened him not to interfere. Meanwhile, Freya was happy to see someone who might save her. But Hero just continued walking his way, not minding the three of them. The kidnappers were elated that he seemed afraid because he walked away, but Freya was desperate for help and asked him through spirit communication. Despite hearing that she was from Weakling University, the kidnappers continued to harass her. But then, Hiro's interest was finally piqued when he heard of the university. Freya continued explaining her affiliation with the university. While the kidnappers were alarmed, she offered to introduce him to the university in exchange for saving her. The kidnappers mocked Freya for hoping that the man would save her. One of them began assaulting her, making her cower in terror. With that, she used her skills to teleport away from the kidnapper. Hiro was surprised when Freya began teleporting behind him. She was able to teleport, but she was still bound by the ropes. Noticing this, Hiro wondered what kind of skill Freya just used. The kidnappers transformed into their werewolf forms and decided to get rid of them. Looking at them, Hiro was nonetheless alarmed. Freya warned him that they are both level 16 beast morphers. One of the wolves wasted no time and immediately charged at him, to which Hiro immediately summoned his Grim Reaper. The werewolf was surprised as the Grim Reaper swung his scythe against him. But after seeing that he was just a mere level 13 summoner, they began laughing at him. Hiro flashed a sarcastic smirk and retorted, mocking them as mere dogs. The werewolf was pissed and snarled at him, threatening to kill him. Freya frantically asked why he was provoking him. Because of that, the werewolf entered his secondary enhancement state. Freya explained that his energy fluctuations have now reached level 18, but contrary to her advice, Hiro immediately ordered the Grim Reaper to attack. He confidently declared that he hadn't even used his full strength yet. The Grim Reaper raised his axe, then swung down with a heavy blow against the werewolf. The werewolf was surprised that the summoned creature was too strong for a mere level 13. He was then surprised to feel another killing intent directed at him. He immediately pushed the Grim Reaper away and backed off. His partner then asked why he was retreating from a mere level 13 summoned creature. He didn't speak and just glanced at Freya. He also glanced at Hiro, but he couldn't feel the killing intent from them. He's also well aware that it wasn't coming from the summoned creature either. He was having a dilemma. He's facing a single Grim Reaper, but there are two killing intents. He wondered if there was another summoned creature, looking around to search for it. Seeing that he's not moving, Hiro grew impatient and said he's going to attack now. The werewolf was terrified out of his wits, gritting his teeth. As the Grim Reaper charged, he worried about his partner being left alone if he died. He knew he needed to do something, and that involves using that final move. No one expected it. The man suddenly groveled to the ground and surrendered. Everyone was surprised, including his partner. The man began spilling that they weren't actually bad guys and were just putting up a show. But Hiro won't believe them, to which he explained that Freya was the one who robbed them first. Freya looked guilty, but she said taking them down is an act of justice given their reputation. His partner began lashing out on him for blowing their cover, to which he said it was the right thing to do. Pissed, she decided to deal with Hiro by herself, to which he told her to not do anything rash. Suddenly, he once again felt the killing intent from earlier. Trembling, he figured out that it was because of the opponent's shadow. He was scared out of his wits and immediately carried his partner and fled. Freya said they must chase the two of them, but Hiro disagreed. He said cornered rats shouldn't be chased, since they might still have a hidden card. He then reverted back to his original appearance and asked about the Weakling University. Freya was surprised to see that his face had changed. Hiro told her that the cloak he wears is capable of disguising him. Hearing that he was a student too, she couldn't believe it since no summoner has recently awakened. She called him a liar, saying no normal class would never hit multiple levels right after awakening. But then, she finally realized something. She remembered that she witnessed a second awakening from before. Hiro wondered how Freya knew him, to which she only chuckled. If he finds out that she was the reason Shan was after him, she would be in trouble. He asked her to bring him to the Weakling's people already, but she told him not to rush and check the treasure first. But hearing he wasn't interested, Freya wondered if he was made out of wood or something. Despite his disinterest, Freya continued to whip out the legendary Secret Realm map. She explains that this is a map leading to a dungeon overflowing with treasure. She said that this is just 1/4 of the map, and the dungeon is extremely dangerous. This is why she needed a partner and asked if he wanted to team up. But to his surprise, Hiro had already walked away after hearing her nonsense. Nighttime quickly came, and the two of them are now hanging out by a campfire. Hearing him introduce himself, she returned it back and introduced herself as Freya. Freya offered to help him find the person Hiro was looking for, to which the latter asked if she knew of Tori. Freya was surprised to learn that Hiro has an older sister. He clarified that Tori was his younger sister, to which Freya guessed she was admitted through special exception. She remembered that only one person was admitted by special exception, but she has a different name. It made her wonder even more since someone as talented as her should be famous. Hearing this, Hiro was left speechless as he recalled the memory. Back then, his packages were always returned because no one received them in Weakling. The delivery man told him that there was no one named Tori in Weakling. He tried every way to reach her, but it always ended up in vain. He vowed to make them pay if they ever dared to hurt his only family. Freya told him to relax, saying Huaching isn't a dangerous place for his sister. She then asked if he knew the rules for getting admitted into the university, to which he recited them all. However, she revealed that there was actually an unwritten rule. From Class E to A, the resources get deeper the higher the classes are. This prompted Hiro to ask if this means people cheat in the entrance exams. But more than that, they actually make a competitor disappear, especially a second awakener like him. This is why it would be better if he won't aim for a higher place in the school. She then stood up, yawning as she said she was sleepy, but deep inside, she was hoping that he begs her to become his teammate. But seeing him still disinterested, she asked if he doesn't want to get in Class A and team up with her. She was then stunned when he began reciting the situation with in-depth insight. He knew that most end up in classes E to B, and no one ever made A class. The reason for this is because the strong aren't raised in greenhouses. Relying on a team to climb makes one complacent, and it kills one in a world where strength is everything. This is why Hiro was curious why she was too dedicated to recruit him. His words hit everything spot on, and Freya felt guilty as he spoke. She didn't think he would be this sharp and admitted she was indeed recruiting him. But it was more like an investment, because she can only see his future potential. She also revealed that it was all because she trusts her sixth sense, which is stronger than most. This is why she can't help but wait until he grows up strong enough to change the world. She knew that when that happens, many will be left behind. In the city, the streets were busy and filled with the echoes of business transactions. Hiro found himself wandering around the bustling streets. Freya then spoke. This is the Everest town known as the only human trading zone in the West Mountain. They say a high-tier array master and several top builders created it to keep the beasts out. But Hiro was not interested and asked why she changed clothes, to which she said she needed no reason to do so. He then asked where that guy was, to which she said he's not someone who's easy to meet. She also said that he has an annoying little brother. As they spoke, Shan chimed in and greeted Freya. He reported that the third raid prep was done and asked where she ran off to. He suddenly grabbed her hands and ordered her to come with him. Hiro quickly put on his disguise and stopped Shan. Freya was surprised that he was able to quickly transform onto his new look, while Shan seemed pissed that he was interfering with his business. Hiro exerted enough strength and managed to push Shan back. The latter realized that he was a body enhancement type, and since he's acting like that, Shan wasn't willing to step down. Seeing that a fight may break out, Freya stopped Shan and changed the topic. She then told him to hurry and immediately go to the third raid. She also clarified to him that Hiro is not affiliated with them. Hiro was left speechless as he watched all of them leave. Freya then turned around and used her spiritual communication, apologizing to Hiro. The latter thought that his dark slash is sure handy, allowing his Reaper to merge with the darkness. But then, the members of the man he's impersonating suddenly appeared behind him. They asked Hiro, who was disguised as their member Poison Lizard. Only then did Hiro realize that this man was the one Lizard was talking to on the phone back then. As the man named Pyro greeted him, he realized these people were Lizard's accomplices. He continued acting all friendly while making jokes, to which Hiro responded with a chuckle. But Pyro sensed something was off when Lizard reacted to his jokes when he usually doesn't. He asked what his identity was and unleashed his powers to fry him up. It was powerful enough that 2 of his Grim Reapers died tanking that attack. Hiro gritted his teeth as he tried to endure the powerful attack from the level 18 enemy. But then, he was stunned as he suddenly noticed something. The gem from earlier began absorbing the energy of the enemy's attack. Even Hiro couldn't believe what was happening right in front of him. Just like what happened with the snake egg, the enemy's flame was swallowed too. Pyro cried as his beloved flames were swallowed by Hiro. It wasn't much experience points for him, but Hiro was delighted at the possibility of his speedy leveling. Pyro called out to Lily, pleading as he said he took a loss this time. Lily then came from behind, surprising Hiro. She asked him to give Pyro's flames back, saying he only punished him for ditching orders. Hiro teased him, asking if they now believe that he's the real Poison Lizard. Lily explained that only his Mecha Lizard could tank Pyro's flames head-on. That was when he realized that he was just lucky when he beat Lizard earlier. Pyro added that he never doubted his identity and just wanted to give him a fiery greeting. Hiro countered, saying he won't give that greeting back to him. Lily asked Pyro if losing his flames would mess with the plan, to which he said barely enough. Hearing this, she told him to treat this as a lesson and urged everyone to move already. Pyro was utterly disheartened that his beloved flames were swallowed. Behind them was Hiro, looking at them with utter cautiousness, especially at Lily. Pyro then told him to get a move already and help them with the job. The 3 of them continued walking down the street. Meanwhile, at the arena, Freya seemed pissed as he walked together with Shan. She was looking around, trying to search for Hiro in the place. The 2 of them then entered a building, and Shan pushed the elevator button for the floor he wanted to go in. He then said that the cap is only level 25 at this place, and his brother wants to get it. Upon reaching the 17th floor, someone entered the elevator. It was Wendy and Lester, talking about not going to the 18th floor because of a certain someone. Wendy then asked if he was scared of that person, to which Lester said he just wanted to test the top dog of Class 2, a senior to junior. But Wendy knew that breaking even with that person would be a miracle. Lester then mentioned that the Golden Scroll hunting contest has already been derailed. They then looked down on the platform, remarking on the rare beast below them. In the arena, a man can be seen facing off against a massive beast. He was panting as he held his sword, but he was unwilling to give up. It was none other than Jin, swearing he will save his team. Seeing him, Hiro wondered why he was at that place. Pyro then asked him if he knew the man who was fighting below. He denied, saying he was just wondering what kind of man fights in a hopeless stage match. Pyro then told him that someone forced Jin into a slave contract and became a mere tool. He also noticed that it wasn't something Lizard had a say in since he had done worse. But hearing Hiro threaten him, he immediately changed the topic. Suddenly, Lily appeared behind them and said she got it all mapped out already. Lots of people from Huaking have arrived, and they need to be careful. Lily then turned to Pyro, reminding him to take things seriously. Hiro was then alarmed when it was revealed that they were going to rob them. In no time, the program has begun and the host formally commenced the grand finale of the auction. He introduced to everyone the last item, which is a rare and super great item from the guild. Hearing the introduction, the crowd were utterly curious as to what this treasure might be. The host said the crowd may have seen plenty of ordinary treasures, but this one is different. He then asked everyone if they had already seen a humanoid treasure. At the VIP seat, Yuki settled with Freya and Shan as representatives of the Hunter Society. The host wanted no time and immediately showed everyone the treasure he was talking about. They then brought out a cage, showing the silhouette of a monster inside it. Hiro was surprised upon seeing this. They then revealed that this is the human-faced Spider-Woman. Never seeing something like this before, the crowd was utterly astonished. The Spider-Woman was flustered as everyone watched her from the screens. Shan revealed there won't be any record about this monster since it is a rare specimen. He added that they will be using this monster to achieve their goals. Freya was surprised upon hearing that they will treat the poor monster as a tool. Shan excitedly revealed that she's not just any monster, but has something special in her. But before he could finish speaking, one of his men suddenly got flung away. Shan looked at Yuki with fear in his eyes. He closed his eyes, telling Freya to not mind it since she'll find out soon. The latter only looked at him without uttering a single word. The host proceeded with facilitating the bidding for the human-faced Spider-Woman. The poor monster seemed sad that she was being treated like an object of entertainment. One of the bidders offered 3 million so he could kill the monster. Another businessman offered 4 million so he can torture her. Meanwhile, another bidder wore a dirty look on his face as he thought of disgusting ideas. But before he could finish his words, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his body. From his chest, an imprint of a flower began blooming and surprised him. Another dirty-minded audience asked the man what he wanted to do with the Spider-Woman. Suddenly, the flower imprint on his chest glowed more intensely, unleashing purple stems and plants all over the place that terrified everyone. Everyone who made contact with the flower was then infected, having their life forces drained out of their bodies. Seeing this, the auction host promptly requested reinforcements for the situation. Suddenly, he turned around as he noticed something from behind. Perched on top of the cage was Pyro, surprising the auction host when he saw him. He then politely asked if he knew anyone from the Huaxing University. The host hesitantly answered, saying some of the VIP rooms on the second floor have them. Pyro looked up and saw that there were a lot of rooms on the second floor. He then whipped out his bazooka, saying he had no choice but to one-shot each. The barrel of his gun began condensing energy as it reloaded. Afterward, he unleashed a powerful beam to take them down. The beam traversed through the air as it streaked through, scattering into separate attacks. These soul-like attacks began eating at every room on the second floor. Pyro laughed maniacally as he began wreaking havoc all over the place. Meanwhile, Yuki stayed still on his seat, unbothered by the attack as he covered himself in a barrier. He only stared forward with a fierce look on his face. On the other hand, Shan and Freya were wondering what had just happened. Yuki then threw his glance to the side, asking why they weren't dead. It was Lester and Wendy, emerging from the cracks on the wall. Lester then asked where are the other members of the Hunter Society, to which Wendy said they must have cleared out early after the leakage of the news. They then said that Yuki's name as the leader of the Hunter Society can deter most students. However, it won't be able to stop those true thrill-seeking hunters. Pyro stood atop the metal cage, expressing his exhilaration for the upcoming fight. As everyone ran away, Hiro was thinking that this is a good chance to get rid of them. And just to make sure, he plans on sending one of his Grim Reapers to check it out. Suddenly, he heard someone calling his real name from behind. He turned around to check, asking if the person behind recognizes him. Jin clarified that it was because he saw a dead man walking again, so he guessed what had happened. Hiro tried to say that he might be the real lizard and was planning to kill him again, but Jin completely believes that he is really Hiro. As everyone tried to run and escape, Jin continued to tell Hiro that he needed to deliver his letter to his family. He handed him the letter and assured that his family will repay him. Hiro asked if it was because of the slave contract that he was unable to do it by himself. Jin went quiet, saying he still had something left to do. He sadly left the place, saying he can never go back anymore. Meanwhile, another student collapsed down to his knees. But despite it, Pyro still feels bored after taking down so many of the students. But to his surprise, someone suddenly clapped and commended his boldness for challenging a humanoid beast. There stood a man, ordering him to put the Spider-Woman down and get lost. He said he's not his opponent, and his target lies elsewhere. Pyro didn't like it that this man was looking down on him. He got pissed. He then turned to Lily and asked her to kill him, but she said he was provoking Pyro and not him. But Pyro knows he can't match up to him. He just wanted to save his dignity. The old man smiled, amused upon seeing his carefree attitude. He wasted no time and leaped toward him, landing a solid blow on his chin that sent him flying. The punch was so powerful it slammed him against a wall. Shan and Freya were surprised to see that Pyro got one-shotted by the old man. Freya then told him to look at the old man carefully. Turns out that this old man was actually a level 23 hunter with an explosive boxer profession. The man began berating the students of Weakling University, saying they were too weak. But hearing this, Wendy couldn't help but laugh. The old man was confused and asked what she was laughing at. Wendy then asked him if Weakling University is such a place that strays like him could waltz in. The old man had a change in attitude and negotiated with them. Wendy turned to Lester, asking him to deal with the old man. Lester then told the old man that level isn't everything. Meanwhile, Hiro was listening to their conversation from his Grim Reaper form. On the other hand was Yuki, sipping his cup of tea and remaining unbothered. Lester began charging himself up, saying a mere 3-level gap is nothing to him. With one quick move, Lester managed to get close to the old man in no time. He then unleashed a powerful punch, enough to send the old man slamming to the ground. He was so pissed, his pride couldn't take it that he was slammed down. But before he had time to get angry, his arms began freezing. But Lester won't give him any space to recover and lunged in at him. However, he was also surprised upon seeing what was happening to the old man. Sparks began engulfing the old man's body as he groaned in pain. Lester couldn't stop himself and went straight to the old man, despite not wanting to. A powerful explosion ensued, unleashing smokes of bluish energy. Wendy was surprised upon seeing this and worriedly called Lester. Meanwhile, the hunters were talking about how foolish Jin was for getting tricked into a slave contract. They were leisurely eating barbecue as they continued discussing their stuff. Turns out that they were planning to do a transaction about a golden scroll. They were still talking when suddenly, their base was destroyed by something. The two of them looked back, alarmed by the sudden commotion. When they looked, they saw Jin standing in front of them. The blonde man recognized him, while the other one asked if it was an enemy. The blonde then told the other one that he was the one who was tricked into a slave contract. Blondie then threw his knives with magic strings toward Jin, thinking it would be easy to subdue him. The knives pierced his chest, and he didn't even retaliate. He collapsed on his knees as the men began approaching him. The other one placed his hand on Jin's head, preparing to activate his brain-reading ability. His head was then engulfed in purple energy as the ability was activated. The memories of when he lost his teammates replayed in his mind. There also flashed the memory of when his team met a group of bad guys. The next memory showed the part when they were still trying to leave the place, and the last memory seen was the part when he was holding 3 pills in his hand. The man's brain-reading ability was then interrupted as he noticed something. Blondie asked him if he had found the source of the golden magic crystal, to which the other one said the image was cut out after he saw 3 pills. Suddenly, Jin vanished in front of him and suddenly appeared behind. He then forcefully slammed his head down to the ground, leaving the man unconscious. He then stood up, emanating a powerful red glow all over his body. Blondie was surprised upon seeing and recognizing the dark red aura he was using. But before he could finish his words, Jin managed to get close and lean closer. He then grabbed his neck and lifted him up in the air. He asked where his teammates were, to which Blondie asked if he took the forbidden drug. Impatient, Jin slammed his head to the grill. Blondie felt the heat of the grill burning through his face. Jin repeated his question, asking where his teammates were. Blondie had no choice but to tell him that they all went to the forbidden arena. Finally, hearing the information he needed, he decided to fully smash Blondie's head. He then looked up, his destination now set to the forbidden arena. At the target place's rooftop, people were seen setting up an awakening ritual. They were whining, but their boss was extremely wary of a certain someone and had to set this up. He admitted that they killed to steal treasure, but that man that he's wary of, it was like he was born to kill. Meanwhile, Wendy continued to desperately call for Lester, who got caught up in the explosion. To her relief, Lester responded and assured her that he was fine. He was able to set up a barrier to protect himself from the fire. Wendy urgently cast her magic to help Lester get out of the place, but the latter told her to stop since this thing devours power. Wendy was surprised when her magic was pulled off from her. She immediately did as he told and cut off her power. She then looked down on the magic that had begun eating at her ability. Both Shan and Freya were surprised with this kind of ability and thought it was strange and creepy. That was when Yuki finally stood up and told Wendy that he can only last 10 more minutes. They looked at him, who was struggling to keep up his barrier to block the attack. They also glanced at the spider woman who was trapped in the cage. Yuki then declared that the spider girl would be his to claim, to which Wendy agreed on the condition that he will take only her. The two of them agreed to the terms, and Yuki began making his move. A cloud of bluish energy was then conjured above the purple mist below. Pyro was surprised upon seeing this. The bluish cloud shone so brightly over Hiro, who was hiding below, as well as Lily, who seemed unbothered as she continued to sit leisurely. Yuki then spoke and asked someone to come out since he's already there. Titae was Owl, hiding in the corpse from earlier, speaking as he found the situation interesting. Even Lily was surprised and asked when did Owl get there. Hiro was also surprised and asked what kind of ability it was, feeling that he was seen as well. Wendy began unleashing yellowish sparks as she noted the four of them. She then gritted her teeth as she charged up her skill. In one go, she fired multiple lightning arrows towards the enemies. The corpse where Owl was hiding got hit. Lily effortlessly dodged one of the arrows, while Hiro was surprised that he was spotted by the enemy. Pyro barely evaded the arrow that was aimed directly at his head. He then used his fire skills so that he could regain his footing. He was about to let his guard down already, but was then surprised upon seeing the arrows coming at him again. He desperately ran away in disbelief that the arrows have a tracking ability. Outside the campus, there stood Hiro, who remarked that the Huaching students are terrifying. Upon seeing the level he needs to reach, he knew that the priority is to get stronger quickly. Suddenly, he noticed something familiar as he looked down on the ground. He saw Jin walking around the place, emanating a dark red aura. Hiro then leaped down and called for Jin, who seemed to not hear him. He grabbed his shoulder and asked what had happened to him. But suddenly, Jin unleashed a powerful crimson aura that pushed him back. Hiro was utterly surprised, gritting his teeth as he looked at Jin's strange state. The latter looked back at him with bloodshot eyes and an angry expression. Hiro recognized his strange power and asked what had happened in such a short amount of time. Suddenly, the gem began reacting to the power Jin was exuding. Hiro wondered if it was the leaked power, but he concluded it wasn't the case. He recognized that this power is similar to Pyro's flames, but the gem's reaction was noticeably calmer. He could only clench his fist as he watched Jin walk away in that state. Meanwhile, Pyro was seen desperately asking for Lily to save him. The latter watched him as he pathetically screamed while being chased around by the lightning arrow. Suddenly, she recognized an aura and figured out that the formation had been activated. She then called out to Wendy, addressing her as the Archer Girl. She then told her to give it her all the next time they meet, to which the pissed Wendy said she will never escape her arrows in the first place. Lily didn't respond and began warping through space. The lightning arrow unleashed by Wendy missed the target and Lily escaped. Wendy was so surprised upon seeing that her arrows failed. Suddenly, Lily appeared in front of Pyro, who was still being chased by the lightning arrow. She then urged him to reach his hand, to which Pyro was delighted. As soon as she grabbed his hand, she pulled him out of the arrow's way and they escaped. Seeing this, Shan and Freya wondered if Lily was an extremely rare space-type professional. Out of that place, Lily's portal emerged and the two of them came out. Pyro whined that he looked pathetic in front of the enemies, to which Lily asked if he didn't want to be saved. Pyro said he didn't want to run, only for Lily to transfer the arrows in a different dimension. But she then revealed that the plans have changed. They were then surprised to see that the awakening ritual had gone awry. The entity from the awakening circle began to massacre everyone in sight. Pyro asked what those guys are doing, while Lily said they're trying to awaken the human-faced spider. Yuki and the Hunter Society along with Wendy and Lester stood before the human spider. They were planning to reveal this monster's true form. The unstable energy from the awakening ritual began rampaging wildly. It then shoots a powerful red beam up in the sky. Pyro looked up to it in awe, while Lily told him to cut it out since they got to bail. The beam then came crashing down from the sky, to which Yuki looked at it with surprise. The beam directly fell into the spider woman who was inside the cage. Outside the place, everyone saw the powerful awakening circle activated above them. Meanwhile, Owl possessed another corpse and spoke to Yuki. He then grinned widely, commencing the slaughtering of the whole town. The awakening circle intensified and exuded a more immense amount of energy. Everyone who saw this recognized that it was from the 18 Forbidden Grounds. From the awakening circle up in the sky emerged spider webs. The spider woman then leaped onto it, spinning more webs to cocoon herself as she landed on it. Hiro looked up to it, wondering what it was. It was then revealed that all prey within 1 kilometer of this domain get their levels suppressed. As he watched the spider woman cocoon herself, Hiro wondered how she would hunt. But suddenly, countless spiders were summoned from her web and descended on the townspeople. Everyone ran desperately as the spiders began killing them one by one. Hiro commended the cleverness of the spider woman for using summons to soak up experience points. However, these monsters alone won't be enough to take him down. Hiro leaped in the air, eyeing one of the spiders as he prepared to attack. From under the ground, the Grim Reaper then emerged while holding a spear. It then pierced through the spider's head and launched directly at the spider woman. Up in the air, Hiro grabbed the spear and rode off its momentum. The spear carried him directly to the cocoon of the spider woman. He then whipped out the gem, planning to take out the leader first. The gem began absorbing the energy of the spider woman. Seeing that there was no resistance, Hiro let his guard down. The spider woman inside the cocoon was sleeping as she absorbed the experience points. But little did everyone know, the mark behind her nape began glowing. It then bloomed and unleashed countless little worms that crawled down her body. Suddenly, Hiro felt something different as he absorbed the spider woman's energy. He glanced at the cocoon that began behaving differently. The cocoon began unleashing an immense amount of energy that pushed Hiro away. Somewhere in the Eversleep town, Pyro was surprised that the spider woman was part of Owl's plan. She then revealed to him that he wasn't told on purpose given his personality. She added that if he knew they were just pretending to raid the spider woman, he wouldn't have acted naturally. They then entered a building and saw a letter on the table. Lily picked it up, recognizing it was Owl's message to them. It was then revealed that the curse he planted inside the spider woman got triggered by someone. Meanwhile, Hiro found himself lying on the ground and covered in bruises. He tried to get up, recalling that there was something that awakened in the cocoon and forced him back. He looked up to it, resolving himself to uncover what it was. Suddenly, he saw an explosion from quite a distance, surprising him. When he looked, he saw Freya and the rest of the students getting blown away. Turns out that Yuki unleashed a powerful attack just now. From the ground, a skeleton began assembling itself as he commended Yuki. It was none other than Owl himself, speculating that Yuki wants to kill him. He then told him to hurry and try to kill him before the spider woman grew and hit level 30. Owl then proposed a suggestion. Yuki will tame the spider woman and Owl will slaughter everyone. Yuki seemed to not like the suggestion and threatened to kill Owl. The latter was unbothered, saying he didn't expect him to act this way. He then exuded an ominous and overwhelming energy as he said that Yuki had let him down. But with one quick movement, Yuki was able to sneak behind Owl. Only then did the latter notice that Yuki was about to unleash an attack against him. It was an effortless victory for Yuki as he instantly shattered Owl's body. He then confidently declared that he would never choose. Owl's crushed skeleton body lay on the ground unmoving, but it wasn't his end yet as his crimson energy began to condense. The crimson energy took a humanoid figure as it spoke. It was Owl, asking him to choose between suffering alive or dying unwillingly. Yuki chuckled, declaring that he could easily find his real body. Hearing this, Owl was surprised. Yuki then stretched his hands to the side and unleashed his energy. As the master of space, Yuki can sense every presence hiding in that place. Hearing this, Owl thought his ability was too overpowered. With his barrier engulfing the entirety of the Forbidden Zone, he can sense the presence of everyone who's standing in there, and that is enough for him to deal with Owl. He wasted no time and cast his annihilating skill. In no time, everything began to disintegrate into nothingness. The powerful energy unleashed was enough to push everyone back. Shan was sent to the ground, gritting his teeth as he fell down. Freya then asked if Shan was okay while Hiro was standing there, but upon seeing Hiro, Shan was extremely enraged. He immediately charged against Hiro, carrying the grudge from before, but his attack was effortlessly blocked by the Grim Reaper, surprising Shan upon seeing it. The Grim Reaper was powerful enough to push him away and send him flying. Shan was extremely surprised as he looked at Hiro and his summon. He couldn't believe that Hiro was more talented than him, being able to grow this fast. Freya then told him to stop messing around anymore. She said that this isn't the time for that, not knowing a spider was eyeing her. Fortunately, Hiro was quick enough to save her out of danger's way. Noticing the spider's more frenzied state, they knew the mother spider was soon breaking out, but Freya just couldn't leave and sacrifice the purple gold beast. It was a bloodline that hasn't appeared in ages and appears less than 5% in all monster history. But still, the risk they have to face right now is too much. Meanwhile, Yuki declared that Owl was the first to have escaped his annihilation skill. With confidence, he declared that he will remember him. Meanwhile, 2 more hunters were seen outside the place. Owl said that Yuki isn't an easy target. while Baki said things just didn't go his way. He added that Yuki would never fake his weakness, given his personality. Knowing Yuki is a space type, Owl guessed that Yuki simply cut himself off from the domain suppression. He then figured out that he can't isolate space, which is his weakness. Baki closed his eyes and asked why he was there, to which he said he originally just came to check the cursed parasite he planted on the Spider Woman. As Baki stood up, Owl reminded him not to mess the plan up. Hearing his defiant attitude, Owl couldn't help but sigh and say he has no discipline at all. But still, this wasn't a wasted trip for him. After all, he found Jin, an interesting host for his energy. Owl raised his hand, conjuring a ball of crimson energy as he declared Jin as his next host. He then unleashed countless worm-like curses, scattering them everywhere. The worms began burrowing into the humans they found, digging through their backs and their chest to enter their body. One of these worms then approached Jin, entering his body through the back of his head. Now, Owl's plan is ready to take shape. With these many infected people, he plans to give birth to a new king through Jin's body. The infected humans roared as they rushed toward Jin. Hiro saw this and recognized the old man, to which Freya asked if he recognized someone. He revealed that he once joined Jin's party, the one who was getting swarmed right now. Freya felt something off, speculating he had taken at least 3 forbidden pills. These pills are given to slaves bound by contracts, holding raw power no human body can bear. 1 pill ruins the insides, and taking 3 should definitely kill an individual. It turns out that the reason he didn't explode was because the gem absorbed the pill's power earlier. Hiro approached Jin, saying he wanted him to deliver the letter to his family by himself, but Freya immediately stopped him, saying he can't go. Hiro then asked her for what reason he couldn't go. Freya activated her skill, asking him to see things for himself. She then placed her fingers on his forehead and activated her ability. A glowing sigil on her hands emitted green energy. It was the skill called the Tree of Life. Hiro asked why he feels linked to her heartbeat, to which she said that she can absorb any harm Hiro sustains. Hearing this, Hiro worriedly asked Freya if she would be fine. The latter only teased him and said her Tree of Life won't die that easily. Hiro cleared his throat and asked how her ability would stop him. But when he opened his eyes, he was surprised by what he saw. He saw the trees representing the life forces of the people in front of him. Freya explained that those are their trees of life, and Jin's withered tree means he's already dead. Suddenly, he was surprised to have seen another thing. There was a parasite clinging onto Jin's tree of life and controlling his body. Hiro recognized that the cocoon has the same worm, prompting him to ask more questions. He gritted his teeth, while Freya told him that they shouldn't be reckless. But seeing his disturbed state, she told him that this isn't like him. Meanwhile, 2 hunters were seen hovering over the city while riding a winged beast. They were contemplating on telling Yuki to pull back. But on the bright side, this means the purple gold beast will belong to their hunter society. Shan grabbed Freya's hand and asked who linked their tree of life to her. The latter snapped back her arms and assured him she can still bind Yuki as well. But knowing she can only bind 2 people, Shan knew that he would have to be thrown out. He then angrily turned to Hiro, who responded with a dismissive attitude. This pissed him greatly and he unleashed a powerful energy, aiming to kill Hiro. Seeing his level 16 skills, Hiro prepared himself for the confrontation. But suddenly, the space around Shan was cut off, surprising them. The same goes for Freya, who was surprised as well. The 2 of them were then teleported away from Hiro. Behind him then emerged Yuki, who teleported both Shan and Freya beside him. Hiro immediately prepared to attack Yuki, but the latter effortlessly activated his skill to counter. Before Hiro could do anything, he was trapped inside the space conjured by Yuki. With a flick of his hand, he managed to increase the gravity inside and brought Hiro down to his knees. He could barely breathe as he gritted his teeth, enduring the pain. But then, the Tree of Life sigil on his hand began glowing. That was when Yuki noticed that Freya was the one suffering from the damage he inflicted. Yuki was speechless for a moment as he stared at her, then asked if she really gave him her Tree of Life. He then scoffed, surprising everyone as he let go of his skills. Shan whined that Yuki let him go that easily, while Hiro thought he was a monster. Shan then rushed to check up on Freya, who was coughing from the damage she received. Yuki then approached them, surprising the 2 of them. He then whipped out a red pill, ordering Freya to take it. Shan was surprised, asking where he got that forbidden contraband, as Hiro wondered what it was. But Yuki didn't answer and just said they already wasted too much time. Shan was extremely enraged, saying that the drug will crush Freya's body. But Yuki couldn't care less about that, and only needed her to conquer the purple gold beast, leaving Shan speechless and unable to talk back. Yuki then went on his way, threatening to deal with Shan first if he interfered more. Meanwhile, Hiro wondered why Yuki wasn't affected at all by the suppression of the hunting domain. He then spoke in a provocative manner, saying Yuki only bullies the weak. The latter looked back, seemingly affected by what he had just said. But then, Freya suddenly grabbed his hand. She told him that there was not much time left and volunteered to take the drug. She thanked Hiro for speaking up for her, but this was her deal with him. Hiro was left speechless upon hearing her words. She ingested the drug as Yuki began conjuring a spatial room around them. They then headed straight through the cocoon of the mother spider. Meanwhile, Shan and Hiro looked at each other, speechless. That was when a giant bird suddenly landed in front of him, carrying 2 hunters. The 2 hunters got off the bird and continued bickering with each other. Shan's face lit up as he saw them, his friends. They then asked how the situation had turned out like this, to which he said it was a long story. Hiro then looked at the 2 of them, thinking that these 2 are strong. Suddenly, Shan pointed to Hiro and told the 2 of them to help him take Hiro out. Hearing this, Hiro immediately prepared himself for the battle. One of them didn't bother hearing the full story first and just wanted to satisfy his itching fists. He stood in front of him, telling him to use his trump card already if he wanted to live. Meanwhile, Wendy and Lester were standing atop a cliff. They were looking down at Luke and Zuya, who was currently facing Hiro. The latter spoke, saying Luke was the 3rd jerk from the Huaqing University who ticked him off. Confident, Luke gave him 1 minute to say his last words. Little did he know, something from Hiro's shadow crept through the ground and approached Luke. Wendy and Lester didn't notice anything, but they could feel something was off. When Hiro raised his hands, that was when they finally realized it was the shadow. Luke only noticed the ambush when the shadow had already managed to get close to him. From the shadow, a Grim Reaper emerged and unleashed a quick slash. Luke managed to evade, though he was startled by the sudden attack. But Hiro wasn't finished yet and sent 2 more Grim Reapers for a follow-up attack. As Hiro continued commanding the Grim Reapers with his power, Luke began activating his own abilities in response. He began turning into flames, while the Grim Reaper brandished his sword against him. He then thrusted it forward against Luke, to which the latter was barely able to evade even after using his fire skill. He noticed that the sword even nicked his face, surprising him. Hiro looked at him with a cold and calculating gaze as he assessed the situation. Lester was surprised that Hiro was capable of forcing Luke out of his flame form. The latter regained his fighting stance and looked forward, acknowledging Hiro's skills but telling him that it was insufficient. The latter clapped back, saying Luke would have died if he was the same level as him. Meanwhile, Zuya knew that this match would end now. Luke's flame form doubles his power, making him capable of one-shotting anyone below level 15. He unleashed an overwhelming blow of his fiery wrath aimed at Hiro, while the latter gritted his teeth as he resolved to smash the incoming attack into pieces. He then summoned all of his Grim Reaper beside him, activating an attack formation as he amplified his monarch's authority. With one heavy downward slash from his Grim Reaper, the ground was torn by a purple energy. Wendy, Lester, and Shan were all surprised upon seeing his overwhelming power. Even Luke was surprised and alarmed to have seen the seemingly unstoppable attack. It was then that Zuya's giant mecha robot suddenly shielded Luke from Hiro's attack. The latter was surprised, wondering what had happened. Zuya spoke from the mecha robot, telling Hiro that the battle is enough, but Hiro seemed to not like it that his match was interfered with. Zuya then admitted that he is the strongest level 13 he had seen so far. But as they were talking, Hiro suddenly felt something was cast against him. He knew the familiar skill of Shan's anti-magic. Looking at the latter, he was seen grinning after committing his dirty tactic. But then Zuya scolded Shan and told him to save the anti-magic for the fight against the boss. The pathetic Shan had no choice but to comply, while Hiro felt that the anti-magic skill cast on him was lifted. He then looked up to Zuya, asking what he wanted. Zuya deactivated his mecha robot and jumped down in front of Hiro. He then told him that he wanted to give him a part in the raiding of the purple gold beast. Hearing this, Hiro couldn't believe it and asked what he meant by that. He also followed up with a question, asking if he can make decisions on behalf of Yuki. Zuya responded that the purple gold beast raid required a powerful summoner in the first place, and looking at Hiro, they decided he was a good candidate for the role. Zuya added that bringing him in would not be an issue to Yuki himself given the situation. Hearing this plan, Shan strongly expressed his disagreement. However, Zuya was wary that the situation isn't just an ordinary beast tide. Luke told him to stop being so mysterious and explain the situation clearly. Hiro was then surprised to hear that the beast tide's rampage is due to the awakening of high-level demon beasts. However, these are all merely Zuya's speculations. Shan then asked if the situation was worse enough to cause a major war, but Zuya finally dropped the bomb. How do they know only one has awakened? Hearing this, Hiro was utterly disturbed. This topic reminded him of something that happened 10 years ago. When the last national conscription happened, he was still a kid. There stood his mother, asking him what was wrong for looking so gloomy. He said he was sad because his parents seemed to be leaving them for a business trip. But Hiro knew they weren't going on a business trip, but to somewhere dangerous. Then his father chimed in, asking if he hadn't always admired heroes before. He added that this is their job as a hero, to defend their home and their country. The young hero could only look at them with confusion in his face, same with his younger sister. He looked down back then, apologizing to his parents for failing to protect his sister. But he looks up with pride now, confidently addressing his father. He carried the lesson about heroism that he taught him back then. Suddenly, Yuki unleashed a powerful spatial energy as he hovered in the air. Hiro looked up to him, unfazed by the overwhelming amount of energy hitting him. The students from the Hunter Society also looked up in awe. After a short while, Yuki declared the success of his plans. The tiny spiders terrorizing the town began disintegrating, turning into red smokes as they vanished one by one. The hunting domain effect had disappeared. They knew Yuki subdued the Spider Woman. Lester deduced that they'll probably attack the purple gold demon best next, and asked if they would still compete. Hearing this, Wendy teased him for being so discouraged. But Lester had a valid reason. He never knew that the power gap between them was this huge. However, Wendy knew that there was a reason they were sent here by the president. It turns out that after divination, they saw that Yuki would encounter the first setback of his life. Meanwhile, Luke's hands suddenly burst into purple flames. Zuya worriedly called Luke. While the latter seemed out of his mind, Hiro immediately prepared himself with his Grim Reaper, but Luke then cast a flame cage that imprisoned Hiro inside. The latter figured out that this cage is specifically to counter his necromancy power. Luke approached him with a blazing aura, declaring that this was him in his peak. Hiro retorted, saying that his peak form seemed to be even slower than before. Luke won't tolerate this disrespect and immediately charges forward to attack. Unbothered, Hiro asked if his slower speed was because his energy was being consumed faster. He hit the nail on the head. Luke was afraid that he would still lose to him even at his peak. Refusing to accept this fact, Luke launched a flaming fist against Hiro, but the latter only looked back to him, declaring that he hadn't used this move in a long time. Hiro looked at him with a serious gaze, unleashing an intense amount of bloodlust. On the receiving end, Luke froze and was startled. He was stopped on his tracks and fell to the ground while trembling in fear. He gritted his teeth and looked up, only to see a Grim Reaper right in front of him brandishing a scythe against him. He began sweating as the scythe swung down on him. Fortunately for him, Zuya's mecha robot once again stood there to stop the attack. Zuya stopped the fight and told Hiro to save their energy for the purple gold beast raid. However, Hiro remarked that someone doesn't seem like he wanted to stop, referring to Luke. The latter gritted his teeth, thinking that no one has ever made him feel this terrified. He angrily stood up and demanded a rematch, saying he doesn't acknowledge the illusion he did, but Zuya told him to stop already, reminding him of the gravity of the situation. Hearing this, he had no choice but to listen and comply. He turned around and declared that he will get his revenge, even though it may not be now. After the issue was settled, Zuya properly introduced himself while Hiro did the same. But hearing his origin, Zuya finally figured out that he was the second awakener that Freya mentioned. They now understand why he was so strong, and asked him if he mastered awakened power already. However, Hiro was totally clueless about the changes that occur after second awakening. Seeing this, Zuya figured out that he hadn't been bothered by the factions yet. He knew that once he fell in their hands, he would be nothing but a war machine like Yuki. Seeing Zuya's sour mood, Hiro deduced that the change he mentioned isn't good. The latter only told him that the strength of awakened individuals can't be measured in simple levels. Looking at Hiro, he wonders how much more terrifying he would be once he mastered his awakened skills. After a while, Yuki finally came down with Freya, while Shan worriedly called for her. He then threatened to kill him if something happens to Freya, but the latter assured him she was fine. Now, Zuya urged Hiro to prepare, as they will now face the purple gold beast. Meanwhile, Wendy and Lester were wondering what to do in this situation. Below them were Yuki, Luke, and Zuya talking about their plan. Upon hearing the news about the beast tide, Yuki was puzzled. Zuya explained that the sudden beast tide is suspicious and they must leave the place within 3 days. He added that they're fortunate to have Hiro there and suggested they should let him join them. But then, Yuki said there was no need for such trouble as he whipped out a golden scroll. Seeing this, Hiro was surprised. Freya told Hiro that this was the secret realm map that she told him about before. She added that this is the complete map to the purple gold beast boss, the violet wing nest. Yuki began opening the map gracefully, and the process began tearing the ground in half. The crack grew wider, opening a path that leads to the deepest pit of the abyss. Hiro looked down on it, while Freya explained that the map must be opened in a specific coordinate. Yuki then looked at him, telling him to come in if he was not afraid of death. Without a shred of doubt, he immediately tossed himself into the crack on the ground. However, everyone was worried that this will now make the secret real entrance known to many. Zuya contemplated, wondering what he was trying to do. Meanwhile, 2 students stood in front of the crack and sensed a monster's aura in there. Zuya then suggested that they don't go down, making them wonder if he knew what's deep down there. But he already said what he needed to say. Now, his group simultaneously jumped all together down to the pit of the crack. Seeing this, the other students were convinced there was a treasure and wanted to compete.